Mystery Brothers. Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Brothers.
What's up, everybody?
Mystery Brothers.
This is Mystery Bros.
What's up, guys?
We are on episode 20 now. Big 20 episodes. Today, we're going to be talking about cryptids. All right. Today, we're not going to get to all of them, obviously, because there's so many, but we're going to get to the main ones, all right? There's like 4 or 5 main ones that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about Lockness Monster, Bigfoot, Chupacabra, the Kraken, and Mothman. And then we'll touch a little bit on some smaller ones within those categories.
Yeah, we have a little lake monster in Michigan that
there's
from
a lot
our
of
home state that we
there's a lot of different lake monsters
that we like to talk about.
Are basically this like the same theory thing as Lockness Monster. So we'll get to those. We'll touch on those, but maybe we'll probably do another episode eventually on cryptids that like some lesser known ones. This one we're going to get to all the big ones.
The ones that you've heard of before.
Exactly. Yeah. All the big ones. So we're going to start off with the Lockness Monster.
Yes.
Probably one of the most famous.
I think it is the famous.
You think so? I don't know. I think Bigfoot might be more famous than the Lockness Monster.
I don't know. I think more people are attracted to Lockness Monster because it's a dinosaur.
True. The Loch Ness Monster, it's kind of been a thing for a long time. There's like legends way back in like the, 1500s, 1600s, all that kind of stuff of people thinking that there's a lake monster in the loch.
I heard it's also one of the deepest lakes and one of the darkest lakes.
Yeah, it's huge. It's technically right now, it's still connected to the sea, but there's some areas where it's literally only like 30 to 100 centimeters deep. So it's like not really. But back then, I think like back in like the 1200s, like way back in the day, it was connected to the ocean.
So Nessie can get out.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's the theory is that it came from the ocean and then either got trapped there and enough of them got trapped there to where they could reproduce, or it just would swim back and forth between the ocean and the loch. But so first off, Loch Ness, it's in Scotland. It's in like it's like pretty far north up there. Scotland. Like I said, it's technically open to the sea, but it's not really. You can't like take a boat from the loch to the sea or anything like that because there's points where it's only 30 to 100 centimeters deep.
So Nessie can't get out. Nessie can't get out.
Right now. Well, we're going to get to that. The depth of the lake, 744 feet or 227 meters.
That's pretty deep.
Which is pretty deep. Yeah, that's pretty deep. Nothing like the ocean or anything, but that's pretty deep. It's a really long lake. It's kind of long and narrow. It's 22 and a half miles long and then 1.5 miles wide. So it is a pretty big fucking lake. The loch, it is really big. And like we said, at one point for a very long time, it was connected to the sea, like openly. There was a lot of water and you could swim back and forth between the sea and the loch. But I think in the past, like 500 years ish, it's closed.
Oh.
But so there's all kinds of like I said, there's all kinds of like eyewitness and people saying that they've seen the Loch Ness Monster and all this kind of stuff. Like it's been a thing for a long time. Some notable ones though, in 1943, the Navy collided with a very large creature while they were in the loch. They could never figure out what it was. And there really isn't that many large creatures that are known to live there. Like whales aren't in there. There's no whales in there. Sometimes seals, but like the creature they're talking about is way bigger than a seal.
So I think that's crazy. What maybe they hit like like some kind of rock.
No, it definitely wasn't a rock. They said it was a creature. They're navies. They're not fucking idiots. They would know if they hit a rock. But in the 1970s, there was a family. It was like a grandpa and then like two kids that were riding their boat. It was just kind of like a small like fishing boat. They're riding it in the lock, and they collided with a really big creature, so big that it like got caught. It like fucked up their motor.
Ooh,
And then the creature went away. When they hit the creature, they say it was some crazy monster. The grandpa had a heart attack.
Oh wow!
He had a heart attack and died when they hit the creature. So like they got saved by a boat, and when they took the boat in to get fixed on the motor, there was like the motor. They obviously like hit the animal, and there was like flesh caught in the motor.
Damn!
And the fucking people that were fixing the motor just threw it away. We could have had DNA evidence.
That could have solved it. That could have solved it.
We could have
right
had DNA evidence of what they hit.
Or it could have just been a seal.
Yeah, but we would have known, is what I'm saying. Like if we could have tested what that flesh was from and fucking figured it out, but nope, he fucking threw it away. Let's see, and
maybe it's a fabricated story. We just threw it away.
I don't know.
Seems like very, very like, oh yeah, could have just made the greatest discovery in our lifetime, and we kind of just threw it away.
I don't know, man. It was in the 70s. I think that they just are fucking idiots. They didn't think about it, probably.
Yeah.
But in 2014, there was a captain of a ship out there, and he basically picked up a very large creature on the sonar. Which actually, this has happened a lot, where boats will pick up very large like creatures that don't make any sense, that are moving really fast on their sonar in that lake. But the lake is always so murky that you can't see, really. You can't see that far down. Like maybe 5-10 feet. You can see that's about it.
That's why I feel like a lot of people say that's like made up because it's just so dark and mysterious. Like you don't know what's under there. So people come up with these stories.
It's a very dark and like deep water, and you just have very little visibility, so it's hard to see anything in there. But a lot of times people will pick up really weird like radar or sonar in there of like really large creatures that are moving that they don't know how to explain. And this happened in 2014. A captain picked it up on sonar. And he says like he's been in the lake, he's been a sonar operator for a very long time. He says that was some huge creature. Like there's no other way around it. That was just a very big.
And there's nothing really that big in there.
No, nothing. So,
Could have just been like a big log, just like it's floating down like with some currents.
I don't know. There's been all kinds of pictures that people take, and that reminded me. There was a picture where it looked like there was like this monster face, it looked just like a lake monster. And then when they went to that spot, they saw there was this huge log underground that had that. It just happened to look a lot like a lake monster, and they figured out that was just that log. So yeah, there's been all kinds of pictures. I mean, I'm sure you've seen the famous one, the famous black and white one, where it has like the long neck sticking out. I'm pretty sure that's been proven to be fake.
Yeah, I know. Like what hoaxers?
There's definitely been hoaxes on there that we've proven are fake, like pictures and stuff that we see that are like, okay, that's not real. But that doesn't disprove it. I mean, there's still so many stories about people seeing with their eyes and seeing on like sonar and radar of like large creatures, like weird large creatures that they can't really explain. Right. So people have tried to kind of like go, scientists and stuff have gone into it, and basically there's a eel species called the conger eel. They can get up to 19 feet long.
Oh shit, that's pretty big.
And weigh up to 240 pounds. Now they're not really known to be in the lock. To be honest, like they're not known to be there. They're known to be like,
well, maybe a couple of rogue ones get in.
That's the thing. Maybe here and there, a couple of rogue ones slip in, and then there's just 20-foot eels.
That could really like explain some of the sightings. Like if you just see it like on the surface, you see like one of those eels just like slipping and sliding on the surface. It'd be like, what the
Yeah.
fuck is that?
That's unusual behavior for eels, though. That's the one thing. Like, they don't swim at the surface. Eels swim at the bottoms where it's murky because they like to catch their prey that way.
Well, that's why like they haven't been
would be
found.
very strange.
Haven't been found that much.
But it's just strange behavior for them. They don't really do that. But, you know, that's something that scientists have put out there. And I can see that 20-foot long eel. You could probably think that that's a crazy monster, you know, if you just...
Yeah, I wouldn't want to see one underwater, dude.
No, that'd be scary, dude. Would you go swimming in that lake?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think it's cold, though, but, like, I'll jump in.
It's very cold.
Would you jump in?
Fuck no.
Why?
Because there's all kinds of crazy monsters in there. Eels. There's...
And then at least if you saw them face to face, at least you know, like, shit, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen, and, you know.
No, then it could kill you.
I don't think it eats humans. Why hasn't there been anybody disappearing from this monster? Any disappearances?
No. No one's been killed or anything.
So it's obviously a herbivore. I'll just look at you.
It's not a herbivore, but it just probably doesn't eat humans. It probably just eats fish and shit. Like, it's easier to just get a fish than try and get a human.
So I recently known they did a report. Scientists went down the bottom of the Lockness to get some dirt samples and see what kind of animals live in that.
Yeah, they did a DNA.
Oh, you have that?
They did a DNA study recently. I think it was 2019 or something. And they could not find any DNA of any reptiles or anything like that.
That kind of hurts it.
Well, there's also, there's seals and stuff are known to be swimming around in the loch. It's just something that they do. Like, people can see them all the time. Like, they'll come from the ocean, they'll get into the loch because they can go between. They can walk on land a lot easier than most other animals in the ocean. So that they're found in the loch. People see them a lot. And they didn't find any seal DNA or anything when they were doing that search. So it's possible for something to, you know,
slip out.
If it's something that doesn't like live there and just kind of goes back and forth between the ocean and there, it might be possible that.
How though? Like, didn't you say it's like extremely like?
Well, a lot of like, if you
there's some underwater caves.
No, not. Well, there might be, but they don't go between the ocean. But a lot of like so when you're talking about the Lockness Monster, right? Scientifically, a lot of people believe, just based off of descriptions and what people say they've seen, that it's either a pliosaur or a plesiosaur. Okay? So pliosaurs and plesiosaurs, they were both creatures, dinosaurs basically, that lived in the water. They were around in the Triassic period, which was about 215 million years ago. Mm-hmm. And supposedly they died off about 65 million years ago.
65 million.
That's so long ago. 65 million years ago. But based on the descriptions and everything, this is a lot of what people think that they are. Now, the plesiosaur is the one that has the really long neck, 4 flippers. Like, it's a water animal, but they breathe air. Okay, they're not fish. Like, they don't have gills.
So we probably would have seen it a lot more then. Yeah,
probably, right? But they breathe air. But it was probably like kind of like whales, you know what I mean? Like, whales can take a breath and then be underwater.
But you would see the spout. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, who would know if whales were in there?
No, I don't think it spouts like a whale. It just breathes air.
I know, but like, you know, like, I feel like if it's an air breathing thing, I feel like it would have been way more sightings because it would always have to come up a lot.
Maybe.
Or maybe it just like
doesn't have to come up that much. That's what I was trying to say. Like, it's kind of like a whale. Like, a whale can take a breath and then it can go down and it can swim for like 4 hours before it has to come up. So it has to come up like 2 times a day, 2 or 3 times a day. You know, but anyway, the plesiosaur is the one with the really long neck. And that's what a lot of people think because a lot of the pictures they've shown it's kind of had a long neck. Its neck was known to be 43 feet long. Pretty crazy. I'm sorry, not its neck, but it's the plesiosaurs. They get to be 43 feet long. they have 73 vertebrae in their neck.
Wow.
So it's super long. Like their neck, like they're 43 feet long. Their neck is probably like 15 to 20 feet. It's long. It's big and long. And the pliosaur, the body is exactly the same. Like it's got the 4 flippers, it swims and stuff. But instead of having a long neck, it just has a really big head. And it looks kind of like a big ass like crocodile head. You know what I mean? But not really a long neck or anything. And those were even bigger. They could get to be 50 feet long, with their head being 10 feet long in some cases. And they also weighed like 100,000 pounds at some points. Damn. So they were big. So they were really big. But that's kind of what scientifically they think that the Lockness Monster is. It's either a plesiosaur or a pliosaur. Or
it could be something that we have no idea.
Yeah. Well, based on the descriptions, though, that's what they say. Like, if you were to like try and find an animal or some sort of creature that has been on Earth that fits all the descriptions, that's what it is. So I mean, as far as evidence and stuff, they're really, we don't really have much. It's just so many eyewitness reports, so many cases of people talking about it.
I heard it's like gone down like since the 1990s. Like it used to be early. Now it's not as much.
I think it has started to go down.
And I heard like speculation, what if it's dead and they're trying to find the body and
Probably,
stuff.
That's what, if you ask me, I feel like maybe 300 years ago, there was, maybe like 300 years ago, there was something there, like a plesiosaur or a pliosaur. But I feel like by now they probably died out and they're just not around there anymore.
You have to have you can't just have one. There has to be like a couple.
Yeah, I'm sure there was they would mate and stuff, you know what I mean? And then eventually they just died out. They couldn't mate or something.
Yeah, there would have to be a couple in there.
Yeah.
Can't just be one.
One thing that, have you ever seen the show River Monsters?
No.
You never seen that show?
No.
Maybe it's not called River Monsters. It's the show about the guy who fishes a ton and he goes different places and catches like these weird ass fish. You ever seen those?
No.
You never seen that show? Jeremy Wade or something like that? Oh, you should check that show out. It's cool. But he did an episode where he went to the Lochness and he thought that it could possibly be like giant sturgeon. The sturgeon are known to be in that lake, and sturgeon can get really fucking big. Like they can get up to 20 feet long.
Oh shit.
Sturgeon. They're big ass fucking fish. And he's like, maybe the way that they swim, or it makes it seem like they're some sort of creature, some monster, something like that. And that's what it is. But
did he catch one?
Yeah, nothing that big though. He caught like 10-foot one.
I can see like someone like seeing a 10-foot fish and like seeing something like slither and being like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, and you could think it's some sort of monster,
I mean, I would, dude. Would I know any better, dude? If I like saw something like slithering away, and I'm just at Lockness, a tourist, I'm probably like,
I saw the Lockness Monster.
Oh my god, I saw the Lockness Monster.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I want to go one day really bad and just look and just be there. I want to stay there. I want to.
Would you scuba dive?
No, fuck no. I'm not going in that fucking lake.
I would scuba dive. I would fucking scuba dive.
I'm not going in that lake, but I would for sure hang out there, like on the shores, and just hang out there just all day long. Just hang out there all day, just look and just see if I can see something.
I mean, you might just be like just looking at the mountain all day.
They say that if you go there and you sit there and stare at that lake all day, you're gonna see some weird shit, some cool shit, just because it's such a big lake, and there are all kinds of cool creatures in there.
Right.
Seals, crazy eels, like all kinds of stuff in there. There are a lot of eels in there, just not that one kind that we were talking about, the conger.
No.
There's a lot of just regular ones that are like 5-6 feet. You don't want to fuck with those things, man. Eels?
No.
Fuck, dude. Why would you go swimming in that lake, dude? No.
Why not, dude? On the shore, dude? You said yourself eels don't go.
On the shore, yeah, but you said you go swimming in the fucking lake.
Scuba dive.
Yeah, no.
You wouldn't want to see it face to face. It's a herbivore.
It's not an herbivore. None of those things are herbivores.
It's not gonna eat you though.
Why not?
Well, why hasn't it eaten anybody before?
Because people don't go fucking scuba diving in that lake. It's really cold. It's not a lake that people hang out and swim in.
I know. You just have to like do a quick jump.
No, man.
Well, you wouldn't do a quick like jump from a branch into the water?
Absolutely not. But yeah, definitely not, dude. I'm not swimming in a fucking lake with a fucking... No, just fuck no. Never.
I would go swimming with Nessie.
Well, yeah, I mean, I wish one day that we could finally like get some sort of biological evidence or something, but as of now, we don't have any evidence.
I feel like for such a big
Lots of
monster,
stories.
how can you be like undetected for such a long time?
That lake is fucking huge, man. You can't see anything in there.
Yeah.
Even if you take cameras down there and try and like film shit, you can't see like 3 feet in front of the camera. It's such a murky lake.
They'd have to have like
That's why
some
if you went
sensors.
scuba diving down there, you wouldn't be able to see 3 feet in front of you.
Yeah, that's why I wouldn't really go scuba diving. I'd just probably just chill swimming.
No, thanks. Well, yeah, so that's Lockness Monster. It's other notable lake monsters.
Oh yeah. Since we live in Michigan, man, we gotta talk about Bessie,
Yes. We just talked about Nessie. Now we're going to talk about Bessie, okay?
the sister of Nessie.
Yeah.
the ugly Anne or something.
Well, Bessie is very similar to the Loch Ness Monster
Right.
in description and stuff, but its location is
Lake Erie.
which is right next to us. I've been to Lake Erie many times. Most of the sightings, though, are from the Ohio side, right?
How much is Lake Erie?
It borders a lot of Ohio, the top of Ohio. Cleveland is on Lake Erie.
Michigan, like how much does Michigan have of Lake Erie?
A good amount.
A good amount?
Yeah.
Below Detroit.
Yes. Yeah, and I mean, it's cool. Like, Lake Erie, the Great Lakes are awesome. They're fucking huge, too.
I'm surprised
So-
it's in Lake Erie, not in Lake Superior. That's where I thought it would be.
Lake Superior is the bigger and the deepest one, right?
Yeah, I thought that would be like the crazy mystique one. But no, it likes Erie, huh?
Well, Lake Erie is the one where there's more people there, and people tell the stories, so that's how it works, I think. Like,
Yeah.
it's people from Cleveland and people from, like, Sandusky and stuff saying that they've seen it in Lake Erie, right?
I know, yeah. I mean, the first sighting was back in 1793, so kind of have to go back there a
Damn.
little bit. The guy was going duck shooting. When he saw the first creature, he described it more than a rod, 16 and a half feet in length.
Okay.
So this thing had pretty big.
Okay, 16 and a half feet long.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the thing is with these, it can't be described away from eels because there's no eels in the Great Lakes, are there?
I don't know. There might be, but I don't know.
I mean, like, our 5 Great Lakes are pretty big, so when you look at Lake Erie,
It doesn't blow my mind that people see, like, sea monsters and stuff in them. They're fucking huge. They're like, we were just at Lake Huron last weekend. You can't. It looks like an ocean when you're looking at it. You can't see the other
there's
side.
parts of it where you can't see any land if you're out there. I mean, the max length is 241 miles. The width is around 57 miles, so that's far.
That's huge. That's way bigger than Loch Ness.
The max depth of this lake is 210 feet.
Oh, so it's still not even as
No,
deep
it's 64
as Loch
meters.
Ness. Wow.
64 meters.
That's it, huh?
Yeah. It's not that deep, man.
I feel like that's hard to have a lake monster when the depth is only 200 something feet.
Yeah, well, they said back in there's just been sightings. I mean, you have to go back. In 1817, it was seen again. Reported seeing a monster 30 to 40 feet long.
Wow.
And it looked like a long serpent in dark color. Later that year, it was reported that another boat crew spotted a similar animal, 60 feet long in length. But the thing is, like, all these kind of vary in length.
Okay, so these all these sightings, are they different monsters or what? Because they all have very different descriptions is what it sounds like.
And but it's hard
Or
to
they
gauge
just-
something how big something is in the water. In 1817, a place took to Leo near two French settlers, two brothers, were on the beach when they saw the creature. It described between 20 to 30 feet, and it's shaped like a large sturgeon, except that it had no arms. They panicked and both fled the scenes.
They said that it was shaped like a large sturgeon.
Yeah.
There's sturgeon in that lake, though.
So it could have just been a big ass
It was
sturgeon.
probably just a big ass sturgeon.
And they just exaggerate on the length.
I mean, sturgeon can get fucking huge.
Yeah. Well, here's where it gets juicy, man.
Okay.
So, like, in 1892, this actually hit the newspapers from Buffalo to New York to Toledo to Ohio. A crew saw a large area of water about 0.5 or to like a half a mile ahead of them. And they saw a huge sea serpent that appeared to be wrestling about the waters as it was fighting an unseen foe. They observed the creature and relaxed, and estimated, they said, be around 50 feet or 15 meters. And it said his head was sticking above the water and just 4 feet. The brownish creature's eyes were described as visually sparkling, and large fins were also noted.
Wow. That sounds more like a plesiosaur.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I mean? A plesiosaur or a pliosaur.
So that's a crazy one. And these are like military.
Yeah.
So like kind of maybe trust the military a
The
little
only
more.
thing, there's also another one called Champ from Lake Champlain, which is another huge lake in Vermont. And a lot of people say they've seen very similar stuff. The only thing is, it's like with the Lockness Monster, the loch was at once connected to the sea, and you could go back and forth between the ocean and the loch. And then two, the loch is super deep, like 800 feet deep. So I could see it there, but just for some reason, just Lake Erie, how did it get there? How did it get to Lake Erie?
I don't know. Maybe it just was born in there, man.
Something like that? I don't think so.
Went up the stream.
I think that they all came. No.
Well, they said, here, allegedly in the 1969, the 80s, and in 1993, the locals were offering a reward of $5,000 anybody who were able to capture Bessie alive. Unfortunately, a lot of people
How cool
have
would it be
tried.
to be like, I'm going to go do that.
For $5,000, though, I feel like
Back then, that was probably a lot of money. How much money? When was this?
1980s and 1990s.
Oh, yeah, that's not that much. Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so
How would you go? Like, yo, Evan, do you want to go catch Bessie on my like little fishing boat real quick?
yeah, I just don't believe that. I don't believe Bessie or Champ, to be honest with you. I do believe the Lockness Monster. I don't necessarily know that it's still there, and there's like a bunch of them. I think that there was 1 to 2, maybe even 3 or 4, up until maybe a couple hundred years ago. And I think that since then they probably died out.
Right.
But the legend's still there, and people think they see things because there are some crazy things in there. But it just isn't super crazy to think that there's there's been creatures that we've discovered that we thought had been extinct for, thousands of years type of thing.
Well, we know more about our ocean, about Mars than we do about our oceans deep down there. What's actually lurking down there?
Exactly. So there's a lot of mystery in the ocean.
Right. The only thing that kind of holds the Bessie myth, like what you were saying, they found these like large creatures. The biggest creature other than Bessie, if it even exists, would be a sturgeon. So 10 feet. So there's nothing really that big out there.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like, if those people are actually telling the truth, what the fuck could it be? That's the thing. With the Lochness, there's a few things like those eels, the conger eel,
right,
which aren't known to be there, but that's a theory. That kind of stuff. But yeah, so Lockness Monster, I think possibly was real at one point, but I don't think they're still around. The rest of the lake monsters, I don't know, not so much.
Yeah, I think there's just no hard proof.
Yeah.
For these big creatures to exist.
Yeah.
That's the hard thing. Like, show me Show me, like, let me see it. And all these videos that we see, it's like so grainy and like you think we live.
Most of them are fake. We all
Yeah,
know
we
they're
live in
fake.
2020, man. Like you can't get an HD picture of this.
People are just trying to get clicks or likes or whatever.
Although, Evan, if you were filming and Nasty would just pop out and you saw on your phone, would people like be like, "Dude, you totally faked that on your phone"? Like,
maybe, who knows? But you can tell if a video's been doctored at all or a photo's been doctored.
yeah, someone
I'm
would
pretty
believe
sure.
you.
Yeah. There was actually a picture just recently in like 2019 or something that I saw. A pretty cool picture. It was a big ass animal in the lock. And it just was like its back, like peeking out of the water. It was some Australian dude who took the picture, and I saw it on like the Australian news. They did a thing about it. And it looked pretty cool. What the fuck that was, I don't know.
Yeah.
He swore that he didn't Photoshop or anything like that. So who knows? Maybe one day maybe soon we'll get some evidence.
There's definitely some creatures that have been pictured and people just don't know what.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always certain instances that you just.
Oh yeah.
Things are just one-offs. Like you don't really see it reoccurring.
Now we're going to talk about Bigfoot a little bit because I think Bigfoot's probably the second most famous. It might be the most famous, in my opinion.
So Bigfoot has been pretty much been in every legend. I mean, on every continent, there's been sightings of Bigfoot. I mean, in Australia, the Himalayas, even Europe.
Yeah, I could imagine.
And North America, and it has actually been spotted in every single state.
Really?
Has reported a sighting.
Wow. It's a lot of Bigfoot out there.
Yeah. So that leads people to think that maybe it's just a species. Like there's different kinds of Bigfoot. It's not just one. I always have that drawback too. Like it's such a big creature. Like how can we not see it? So they call it like tall creature, sometimes 16 feet in height.
Damn, really?
Sometimes. I think that's like on the
average is usually like a little bit taller than a human, right?
Right.
Like 6 to 8 feet.
Yeah, 6 to 8 feet.
Okay.
Ranging, but like I feel like those
16 feet. Oh my god.
I think that's like a little crazy.
That would be so scary to see that.
Yeah.
16
I don't
foot
think
tall
it would be
Bigfoot.
I don't think there would be a 16 foot. I think that's so hard to like not like see.
I think those people might be on some drugs.
But yeah, they say it's a little heavier. And it all started. Did you know it kind of all started off a hoax, like the main?
Yeah, the Patterson footage.
Yeah, no, not the footage.
No,
it was cement footsteps. But let me get to that. So if you have to go back to seeing Bigfoot, the legend of Bigfoot has been around for centuries. When you go back to the Native Americans in the 1400s, used to see this creature
before like English settlers and stuff came here. What was it kind of like legend back then? Like lore kind of?
Yeah. So they have like a legend of it, but like the first real sightings appeared back in 1806 when a 4-year-old boy went missing in Oregon.
Ooh. 1806, you said?
1806. Okay. And he said he was, on the next day, he was found by the side of the road, and he said this big hairy guy helped him all the way and placed him there.
Yeah.
So that's when first kind of been recorded. It was in the newspaper in Oregon when Search and Rescue found this boy, and he said this big hairy man helped him out and led him to this spot so they could find him.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that like a lot of the like people that talk about Bigfoot say that it's like nice and helpful? Don't they?
I mean, yeah. I mean, I guess there's different kinds. There's also been like people that said they've gotten logs thrown at them.
Yeah. There's been a lot of different. There's so many different Bigfoot sightings. That's the thing. Isn't like the most common area that they think it is like the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah, in Willow Creek in Oregon.
Yeah,
Pacific.
Oregon and Washington.
Yeah, dude. Willow Creek.
Dense woods out there.
Yeah,
dude.
Willow Creek has the most sightings. They're also like famous for their Bigfoot burger, dude.
Yeah,
it's huge.
They milk it out there. They're all about it out there. They have like stores and like all stuff like Bigfoot is here.
Yeah,
blah, blah.
Bigfoot.
People say they see him there all the time, but no one ever gets any footage.
Right, and it was actually what re-sparked Bigfoot was back in 1958. Gerald and his crew like made these cement footprints, and everybody thought they were real, and it was in the newspaper, and hence Bigfoot.
Where was this, in the Pacific Northwest?
Yeah,
Okay.
1958. And they were turned out to be later that they were fakes, but that kind of like sparked the new intrigue of Bigfoot.
Okay, that kind of got the interest going again.
Yeah. So like a lot of people who see Bigfoot say they get logs thrown at them, and they wonder like what else can throw logs at you. Well, people say they do misinterpret it for a bear. Sometimes they say it orderly stacks rocks neatly.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah. But could that just be humans or like?
Could be.
But that is kind of strange. In 2006, Jeffrey Nalden, a foot morphology who like studies footprints, like that's his profession.
Okay.
Has looked over like more than 1,000 like castrated footprints of like people saying footprint, and he said there's some similarities there, and you could see in some that there's like some muscles in the foot.
Yeah.
That like stick out onto the footprint. And he says that like some of it, like the running motion, like some of them are caught like while it's like should be running, and he said that'd be hard to fake. Like how else are you gonna fake something like look like it's running unless you'd have like something robotic hitting the
with the footprint, you mean?
the footprint.
Yeah, like how would you fake that footprint?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Although they've been a dozen hoaxes, they realized there's been more hoaxes on that too.
oh yeah. There's been a lot of Bigfoot hoaxes.
Yeah.
Not to mention multiple different TV shows that are like 10 seasons long of people trying to find fucking Bigfoot, and they never find Bigfoot or anything. And they've got all
They
these
probably like string
cameras.
you on like in the next episode we see this huge big sound and we follow it and oh my
Yeah,
god.
all they do is hear sounds and see like, oh, there's hair on this tree over here, like footprints. Like they never find any real evidence or anything, and it's so annoying. Don't ever watch those stupid Bigfoot shows.
Right. So, but also the question is, some of the toes, some of the footprints found have 4 toes, some have 6. Skeptics will point to, well, those are obviously fakes because no one can get those toes right. Mm-hmm. Believers will say they're different species
Yeah.
of Bigfoot.
Speaking of that, like what scientifically could it be? Like what do they talk about? They think it's some sort of ape creature?
I had it, yes.
Or do they think it's some sort of like humanoid creature, like an early human? Or is it just an ape, like a bigger type of
some
ape?
people think it's a Gigantopithecus that just was a relic of the population that like survived over these years that didn't get extinct.
Yeah.
Some of the fossils have been found in Americas. The only recovered fossils are the teeth. So leaving uncertainty about the some of the features to the Gigantopithecus.
Okay.
But they think that's the thing that closely resembles
What people are
Bigfoot.
talking about.
What Bigfoot is talking
And
about.
that's an early type of human, right?
Yes.
Gigantopithecus. It's when did they supposedly die out?
So they say it got extinct around 800,000 years ago. Lived from 1.2 million years to 800,000 years.
Okay.
And
That's
what-
Gigantopithecus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's still some debate whether it really existed because like there's only been some huge teeth, and they kind of think it's been from a Gigantopithecus.
Yeah.
How they see it, so that's what they think it could be. But let's get into some of the evidence found. Dr. Wolf says he actually came close to the creature, and it smells so bad. Apparently, like Bigfoot smells really bad.
Yeah, that's what people say in those TV shows and stuff. They're like, "Oh, it smells terrible."
And he's collected hair samples, 15 of which have not been identified by any species known to
Where did he
our
collect
database.
these?
Up in like
Oregon,
yeah,
Washington
California,
area.
yeah.
Okay.
Skeptics will say it could be anything. Like
Yeah.
you don't like just it could be just like there's so many creatures that we still haven't discovered that are a lot smaller. They could be that too,
Yeah.
right? Just because it's unknown, we should be cautious of saying that's Bigfoot.
Yeah. I agree.
But that is something that you'll point to some hair that we don't know the evidence to.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get to the Roger Patterson film.
Okay. Yeah. This is probably the most famous.
Yeah, so 1960s.
sighting or, you know, air
They were
quotes,
doing a
Bigfoot.
home movie, and it just happened to walk by their set.
Yep.
But hold on. It's the only video that has not been completely debunked yet. And there's some tangible evidence to say that it has not been. We've seen the monster outfit.
Yeah.
But there's some movement in the video. There's some movement in the video that says it can't be replicated by humans. And there's been a couple people that have said they've
Who
come
says
out.
this Bigfoot scientist?
No, but there's been people.
UFO historians.
There's been certain research done. It's the only video not fully debunked yet. They know, obviously, he purchased, which is like a huge downer. But
He
they're
bought
saying,
the suit.
but they're saying there's stuff in the video that'd be hard to replicate.
I was under the impression that Patterson footage is like, we all know it's fake.
No, there's huge debate about it.
Really?
Yeah.
Between crazy Bigfoot people and scientists, or like
Yeah.
between scientists and scientists?
Between like scientists and scientists.
Oh, okay.
But like not most are saying you're right, but there's people that say if you look at the footage, like people have looked at the footage closely, saying like some of those movements are very hard to replicate for.
Yeah, well.
That's why it hasn't been complete. It's the only
We
footage.
know for a fact that he bought a suit.
So you think the Roger Patterson footage is, for most part, you think it's a hoax?
I think so. I thought that it's been proven. Well, Robert Patterson, there was a whole thing about him and his background that I watched, and he has tried so many hoaxes. He's done 1 million of them already. He's done like 100 different hoaxes for different things, different creatures, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So, I mean, people just like assume. People that know him just assume. But no one can prove that it's fake. No one can prove that it's real. You know?
No, definitely.
So,
Yeah, so while we're on the topic of Bigfoot, let's go to like I think what most people know as the Yeti found in the Himalayas.
yes, that's similar to Bigfoot. It's kind of the same-ish type of creature, just different location, right?
Correct. It's like huge.
Yeti, it's more specific to like colder regions, right?
Yes, correct. So it was actually first seen back in 1921. Well, like it's been seen in the 17th centuries, 18th centuries. It's been in the myth. It's been the myth for the monks for a while. But back in 1921, discoverers saw these big footprints, and the local guides were like, "Those were wolves. Those were. I mean, those were. It's the mountain man. It's the mountain man." They would keep saying, and the actual two explorers said that they think there was just like a huge wolf, but the newspaper guy thought that wasn't that juicy, so he kind of went with the legend and saw these big footprints were from this mountain man.
Okay.
And then back in 1951 on Mount Everest, this is what took the world by surprise. A researcher named Howard took a picture of the photos on Mount Everest, and it's a picture of a huge foot, and it captured national headlines. And people were starting to think, is this creature really out there?
Okay.
So they've sent multiple expeditions. In 1952, actually, my home country of Switzerland sent a bunch of people. They came back with like some bones, but they were all like discussed away as just natural thing. One said he was even attacked by Yeti, but like this other report, like, no, we just saw he was not attacked.
Yeah.
And then, so there's been numerous expeditions trying to find Yeti, and so far there hasn't been much evidence of any of their findings. The Chinese secret government sent 100 researchers.
Chinese secret government.
The Chinese government had a secret program that was like later declassified, sending like a bunch of research trying to find this animal. This is when China took over Tibet and like now ruled the Himalayas.
Yeah.
They couldn't find anything, so they let other people come in. And to this day, there hasn't been really much evidence. I mean, some people say Dyatlov Pass, which we talked about earlier, was a Yeti attack.
But there's no evidence.
There's no evidence for that. So
it seems like there's really not much evidence at all then, huh?
And this,
just a few huge footprints that people have taken pictures of.
And one even was skeptical of that. Just like the guy who took it thought like he's known for like wanting to put on a show. So maybe he just wanted like, hey, let's make a big footprint and like take a picture of it, make the world have a laugh.
Yeah.
So again, there's only been like hair and a few bone fragments here and there that have not been found. A big, I guess, against having a creature like this on this planet would be, where are the bones? That's like, why haven't we found any bones? And I guess it's been explained away by saying we can't really find chimpanzee bones because they're in the forest and they go away quickly. So that's what happens. That's the only explanation, though. So it's crazy. So
it's very similar to Bigfoot.
Yeah, and the monk. So when the monks had this possession of an old Yeti, they said they killed, right? Mm-hmm. So they finally gave it over for testing, only to be found out it was fake. So the monks have been duped all these years. Yeah. So there has not really been much plausible evidence to support. Just a lot of sightings in the Himalayas. Yeah.
When you talk about cryptids, you got to talk about Bigfoot and the Yeti and stuff, because they're very popular sightings all over the place. All kinds of people saying they see them. You know, it's just like the Lockness. It's like lots and lots of, you know, sightings and stuff. So, but yeah. So now I think we're going to talk about Kraken. Do you want to talk about the Kraken?
Oh yeah, you want to go with the Kraken?
We're going to talk about the Kraken. Now, I'm sure you've heard of the rum called the Kraken. Have you ever had it? It's pretty good. It's pretty good rum. But there's a rum company and they're called Kraken. But Kraken is also another famous cryptid. It's basically like the giant squid, right? Or giant octopus.
Right. And it's known to terrorize ships, take down ships, eat people.
This is more of an old-timey thing, right?
Yes, correct. So, like, this is old folklore. It was spotted in Norway, Sweden, Iceland.
Okay, up in the north, huh?
Yeah. So basically, the first description of it was by an old Norwegian. He said there's a fish that's unmentioned. It is scarcely advisable to speak about the account of its size because it seems to most people incredible. There are only two things it can speak, and it's huge. Wow. And he's basically saying, like, all captains beware of giant octopuses.
Mm-hmm. It's basically like an enormous cephalopod.
Yes.
Not necessarily an octopus or a squid, but kind of like a mixture almost, right?
Correct. I mean, it has been described in a bunch of folklore. It's also been called a crabfish. Like a huge crabfish by like some encounters. Wow. But a lot of people don't know, like, if these stories are just, like, exaggerated because there's no tangible evidence of this creature ever existing. Yeah. And there's no, like...
We know of giant squid.
Right, and that's what they think.
But they're not that big. No. Not as big as, like, the people in the legend, or, like, the legend says about the Kraken.
And they think... Well, the gigantic squid that we found, we didn't get actual footage of it until 2006.
Yeah. Yeah,
and that's a huge squid.
Yeah.
So you think about, like, what else roams there. So I guess...
It's because they live so deep down.
Yes.
They live so deep in the ocean that
we
don't have a chance to ever see them.
Yeah, it took it like 2006 was not that long ago.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, so, you know, it's... When it comes to the Kraken, I feel like... I almost feel like that's probably real. Like, there's probably enormous creatures that live so far down the depths that we just don't ever come across them. maybe back in the day there were so many of them, there was more of them, so they were sighted more, they came up more. Or maybe it's just super rare and you hear the stories about it, it only happens once every, 5 years or something,
Right. I mean, the only kind of evidence they have to support this is a French ship, the Vallée de Paris, mysteriously disappeared in 1782, and everybody said it must have been attacked by the giant octopus.
Yeah. Well, there's all kinds of legends about boats being attacked by it, right?
Yes, but
Yeah.
that's the only tangible one that actually existed.
Okay.
But anything could have happened. They could have been abducted by aliens. They could have been sunken at sea.
Yeah.
A lot of people are saying that these myths kind of come to because shark attacks, although rare, they do happen. So sometimes sailors might have been afraid of a person just mysteriously just disappearing and just seeing blood. It's oh, there must be a huge creature living in the depth.
Yeah.
Because we fear we don't know. And to them, to explorers back then, they don't know what the ocean had to hold.
Yeah. I mean, we found giant squid 40 to 50 feet long.
Yeah.
So that's pretty big.
I mean, that's what they could have seen that. Maybe maybe a giant squid attacked. I don't know, but
it's possible. There's not as much concrete evidence about the Kraken, but I almost think it's one of the more plausible, the more possible ones, in my opinion. Because,
like I said,
just because of the ocean, the ocean.
Yeah, like I said, we know more about our planets.
We know more about Mars than we know about our own oceans. So, I mean, but that's pretty much the Kraken. There's not a whole ton about it. But I wanted to kind of throw in a sea monster, a cryptid, because I don't know, the ocean's crazy, dude. The ocean scares the shit out of me. So now I kind of want to talk about the Chupacabra. You heard about the Chupacabra?
They do crazy cow mutilations and stuff, right?
Sort of, not really. The Chupacabra, it's more of a southern United States, Mexico kind of thing.
Yeah, a lot of Mexicans have seen.
Well, Chupacabra literally translate in Spanish to goat sucker.
Oh.
That's what it means. But anyway, the Chupacabra is actually a little bit more of a newer cryptid.
So is it a theory that it might be an alien? It's a newer cryptid?
A little bit, yeah. But it's a little bit newer. It all kind of it sort of started back in the 1970s when there was all kinds of weird animal killings, livestock killings that were going on. Some sort of animal was killing livestock, like chickens and all that kind of stuff.
Really?
Yeah, but they just couldn't figure out what it was, and they never really found anything. It's basically just a lot of weird livestock attacks in the southern states. But nothing was actually concrete until 1993. I'm sorry, 1995. There's a story about a girl. Her name is Madeline Torrentino, and she was in Puerto Rico. Okay, so this was in Puerto Rico. She basically saw at night, she saw what she called, or what became known as the Chupacabra. She explained it. She said it was about 3 feet tall. It was bipedal, so it walked on two legs. It looked humanoid-ish, but it had long, slender fingers. It had spikes on its back, and it also had huge fangs. So that kind of scared the shit out of her. She was really scared of it. And then also during that time, there was a huge wave of livestock slaughters.
Whoa, really?
That happened in Puerto Rico around her area.
It's just been some crazy mutilations, right?
No, like killings. Not really mutilations. Some sort of animal was killing these livestock.
Yeah, crazy killing, yeah.
And they would bite its neck and suck out lots of blood, is what people would say. That's why it was called the goat sucker. And then as time went on, it became like more common. People were talking about it, saying that they saw the chupacabras, like attacking their livestock or whatever, and it started to spread to like the southern United States. There was a lot of sightings in like Texas and Mississippi and stuff. But also as time went on, it became a little more like scientific, if you know what I mean. Basically, the sightings kind of changed from being this like weird, like bipedal humanoid kind of creature to being more of like a strange, like people thought that it was probably just some sort of like strange undiscovered animal. Like it started a lot more of the descriptions where it walked on four legs and it just was kind of like, you know, a creepy looking little animal, right? And basically a lot of people started to believe that it was some sort of hairless undiscovered dog species. And so many like sightings and stuff in Texas. People talk about it all the time, and it's basically been they called it the Texas blue dog. And it was basically like this, it was like hairless dog. It had like blue-gray skin, a really big overbite, so it had like its big fangs would like hang out. And huge fangs, 3 feet long, or like really long fingers, and it only had 3 like long fingers on each paw. It was a weird looking animal, dude. And you know, people would catch them and like claim that like this is a chupacabra and stuff. And it was just some weird species of undiscovered dog.
Oh, wow.
It was crazy. And like, you know, the legend kind of became a thing after Madeline talked about it in Puerto Rico, but then eventually it just kind of evolved into more of like a real thing that people find, and now they just call it a chupacabra, but it's really just like a weird ass dog.
So it kind of exists, not as scary as people make it out to be.
Yeah. I mean, if you go back to the original sighting, the Madeline one, where she explains the bipedal creature and all that, there's people that think that was some sort of alien creature, like all kinds of stuff, you know? But then eventually the legend just kind of like leaked into like normal, like, life. Like it's just a bunch of dumb Americans like, oh, I'm gonna catch the chupacabra, and they do it, and then you find out it's some really it's still weird and crazy, but it's like a weird like dog species. Now scientists have done kind of like experiments on a lot of these creatures that people catch. Not experiments, I'm sorry, but they've done like research and stuff on a lot of these creatures, and a lot of times it's like a coyote with very severe mange. And mange is like a disease that dogs and coyotes can get, where like there's like these like insects that like live in their skin or whatever, and it basically makes all their hair fall out, and then eventually they'll like die from it. It fucks up their skin, and they just say like it's like coyotes and like weird kinds of dogs that have like really bad mange. And if we go back to the original sighting of Madeline Torrentino in Puerto Rico, where she talked about the bipedal like creature. Back in that time, and also kind of like, well, basically on Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico is a small island. It's not that big. But apparently they were doing like a lot of experiments on rhesus monkeys in that time. And some people think that maybe it was a rhesus monkey that had been experimented on that escaped. That's what she saw. It's possible rhesus monkeys are kind of that fit that description, other than like the huge fangs and stuff. I mean, they have big teeth, but
yeah.
I think so. Basically, it's like a Texas blue dog. If you look that up, you'll be able to see it, and it's just a really, really, really like weird species of dog. It's like hairless. The big overbite, scary looking, those weird, like how it's got 3 long fingers. It really does. It's kind of a strange animal. And so that's kind of what the legend of the chupacabra has become nowadays, like in America and stuff. you know.
I think.
But if you're talking about the original sighting, some people kind of have those separate. Like some people say, like,
What killed all those animals so strangely?
the dog.
You think it was the dog?
Yeah. In America and stuff, yeah. Back then, a lot of people consider them separate. That's what I was trying to say. Like, a lot of people think that, like, the original, like, Madeline Torrentino sighting is a separate thing. It just happened to become part of the Chupacabra. It started the Chupacabra thing, but now Chupacabra, when you talk about Chupacabra now, we know what it is and we know what people are talking about, but that's different than what they saw back then.
Yeah, so it's just a dog. Okay.
Most likely. It's a really weird, fucked up dog. If you look up Texas Blue Dog, you'll see some pictures and you'll see what I mean. It's a crazy, scary looking dog.
Yeah, that's just a lot of things with these kind of creatures that we talk about. It's just a lot. You just have to believe people, what they see.
Yeah.
There's not any tangible evidence.
Well, with this one, there is. You know, with this one, there's a lot. We basically figured out what it is. What they
the
mean.
others, yeah. Well, the others we haven't, though.
So this is still a cryptid.
Yeah.
But it's a little more down to
reality.
earth. But so for our last thing here, we're going to talk about Mothman. All right. Now, this is a really interesting one, dude. This one is really cool. I think it's a lot more. I think it's the most interesting out of all these because it has kind of a story to it. You know, I'll get into it. So basically, the Mothman is another cryptid. It's a flying cryptid, and this one has a very specific location. It's Point Pleasant, West Virginia. All right. Now, it's basically a large humanoid creature, like 6 to 8 feet tall. It has big red glowing eyes. Okay, that's what everyone says in all the sightings. Big red glowing eyes. It has large wings attached to its back and 3 large claws. All right. So it kind of looks like a big like human moth. You know, that's kind of, I guess that's kind of how it got its name. It got its name from some like stupid newspaper in Ohio that was talking about it. They called it the Mothman, but it also kind of describes it, you know. But anyway, technically the first sighting ever was November 12th, 1966, in Clendenin, West Virginia, which is an area in Point Pleasant where it's basically like an enormous like woods. And there was 5 grave diggers that were out there, and they claimed that they saw a man with wings flying over their head.
Oh, crazy.
Right, so that was technically the original sighting. But when everybody talks about like the real original sighting, it's November 15th, which is 3 days later. Okay. 1966. There was 2 young couples. They were driving out on the road out on, right by, Clendenin, West Virginia. There's this big road there that's just a huge long strip, and it goes like there's woods on either side, and you can like people like drag race there apparently. Just fucking stupid. It's got woods on either side.
Oh no!
You're gonna hit a goddamn tree, you dumbass. But anyway, it was 2 couples. They were driving. It was late at night, and they right in the middle of the road they saw the Mothman. They described it as having large wings, 6 to 7 feet tall. They say that the wingspan was about 10 feet, 10-foot wingspan. Pretty fucking big. Resembled a man. Let's see. And then also the big red eyes, the glowing red eyes. That's what everybody says, but this is when they talked about it. They said that it flew away, it flew out of the road, and they were all freaked out, like, what the fuck was that? And then it started kind of following them. All right? It was chasing them. And they said that at some points they were going up to 100 miles an hour, and it was right there with them. It was keeping up with them.
That'd be so freaky. I'd be terrified.
They were very terrified.
Any of them known to do like some kind of drugs?
No. They said that it eventually flew away. All right.
Why would you come out with this story? Who the hell would believe you, dude?
Well, wait. It flew away, and they went straight to the police. They were scared. They like went straight to the police. They told the police what happened, and
I wonder what the police thought. Like, yo, this big ass Mothman was chasing me.
supposedly there was scratch marks on the top of their car.
Oh,
That's fucking creepy, right?
supposedly, haven't been able to verify that.
I don't think they took pictures or anything. It was 1966.
Damn it, dude! Like a lot of these mysteries could be like kind of solvent or like right in there.
Just if there was scratch on it, like.
It would be a lot bigger case if there was.
If they had evidence?
Yeah.
Yeah. I know, but
Back then it was just like, all right, whatever.
yeah, this is 1966. Things were different back then, But so the police went and searched around in that area that night, couldn't find anything. Then the sightings continued.
Oh, really?
All right. Over the next year, over 100 eyewitness accounts.
100 eyewitnesses?
Over 100.
Over?
Of the Mothman. And everyone described it basically the same way, like large, 6 to 8 feet, huge wings, big red eyes. That's what everyone said. All right. And people would, because this area, Point Pleasant, West Virginia, it's kind of generous to call it a town. Like it's small, like there's not very many people. And it's mainly just a lot of woods and stuff. So almost
a lot of hicks.
Probably, but like a lot of the time that you're in Point Pleasant, West Virginia, you're probably right near some woods, like at any point. So a lot of people saw them in the woods.
Which is like easy to do. Like, have people like thought like what else it could be?
We're gonna get there, but yeah, and it's over 100 sightings. Very credible people. Policemen saw it at some points. Like it was apparently there in that time from 1966. And then just a year and 1 month later, exactly, December 15th, 1967, the Silver Bridge, which is the bridge that goes over this huge river that, and it's the bridge that connects Ohio and West Virginia together. It collapsed. All right. It failed. Basically, there were 31 cars that fell into the water.
What?
From the bridge. 65 people fell into the river. 46 of those people died. So this was a huge tragedy. Like the bridge completely collapsed while people were on it. Apparently it was just one pin that failed. And when that pin failed, it like caused a chain reaction and the bridge just collapsed basically.
Darn, not that great of engineering.
Yeah, they fucked up. And there were a few claims of people seeing the Mothman at the bridge in the days leading up, 2 days beforehand.
So you're saying the Mothman kind of manipulated this?
No. What people like to think, so basically after the bridge fell and that all that happened, there was no more Mothman. No one saw him ever again. Never another sighting. So a lot of people have like strange views. Like people say maybe like people think that it was something to try and warn them. It was some point of omen or something that, you know what I mean? Some say basically he was meant to warn people about the tragedy.
So no one's seen the Mothman?
Not once since that happened.
And before
but
that?
Over 100 times in the year leading up. Now,
that is interesting. That just like stopped.
Completely stopped. So we'll get to possible things. So one scientist in the area said, what about a sandhill crane? Sandhill crane is like a type of bird. Here's the thing, though. Let me give you the description of a sandhill crane: 3 to 4 feet tall, 6 foot wingspan, maybe 100 pounds.
Well, Evan, if you're doing some crazy drugs, like you might.
Not everyone's there is doing crazy drugs. They're all. None of them are probably doing crazy drugs. It's
You don't know, dude.
1966.
What else is there doing Mount Pleasant?
It is 1966, but I don't think in 1966 in West Virginia people were doing crazy
What else
drugs.
was there to do in Mount Pleasant? You said yourself it's not a big town.
That doesn't mean everyone just does drugs. They don't. But
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
now the thing is the red hill or sandhill crane, it has a big red patch on its face, so that's why they said like, oh, maybe that's the big red eyes. But take a quick second and Google a sandhill crane and just take a look at it. I don't think so. But one of the actual first witnesses from the November 15th account says that they all thought it was some sort of like mutated sandhill crane because there's all kinds of toxins in the swamp in the area. Because if we do a little bit of research or a little bit of history in that area, it's called the TNT section of the forest because there was a huge munitions plant that was out there in the woods that built explosives during World War II. And it was basically like it was operating from 1942 to 1945, and they were building like all kinds of like explosives like for the war. So they had a lot of like material and stuff. And there was basically in 1981 they found out that there was a redwater seep in the area, which basically confirms that there was like some contamination going on back then. So there was some sort of like, toxins that
maybe it could have been like a deformed creature. Is that what they're trying to say?
That's well, sort of. That's kind of what they're trying to point at. Because like this one is like the Mothman it's very like unique. Like it's really hard to like describe what it could be.
Yeah.
The only other thing that people have talked about is possibly a barn owl.
I thought maybe a bat.
But that's even less. There's no sort of bat that's that big. That's even close to that big. But the same with the owl, the barn owl. It's literally like 2 feet tall, and its wingspan is like 3 feet. So it's like, no, I don't know how you describe it. And then the reason people say possibly a barn owl is because barn owls are known for having, when you shine light in their eyes, their eyes glow red. I
bet you that could explain for some of those like instances where you just saw like red light, where they just saw red the eyes, and you're like,
maybe they saw it and it was really far away, and they just thought it was that big, but it was really just a barn owl.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that like all of them were that, but I'm saying like I could explain a couple of them away where you saw, oh shit, like look at those red eyes. And dude, if you're just in the woods and you see red eyes, that'd be creepy.
Yeah.
If you just see any eyes looking at you, if you just see any eyes looking at you, dude, that'd be creepy.
Yeah. Do you imagine seeing the Mothman, dude? Oh, that'd be scary, dude. Real scary.
I would probably pass.
Have you seen the movie?
Is it good?
It is pretty good. There's a movie. It's called Mothman Prophecies, and it was based off a book that was written in like the 70s about the whole incident. And that's kind of what made it famous. Before that, it was really only people in West Virginia had heard about it or knew about it. But then this guy decided to write a book called The Mothman Prophecy, where he basically everything I explained, where he talked about everyone seeing the Mothman, and then it was about, and then the bridge collapsing and all that stuff. And in the movie, it's kind of a little more to do with like crazy secret government thing, But it's just his take on it, But it's a good movie. It's a good movie.
I don't think it's a crazy secret.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why the government gets brought into it in this case.
What would be the point?
They think it was some sort of government experiment because that factory was there and they were doing all kinds of weird experiments.
True.
So
it's just interesting that all of a sudden it just stopped. Like all of a sudden, like you see a bunch of signs.
As soon as the bridge collapsed, never seen again.
Maybe it died on the bridge.
Maybe no body was ever found or anything. Yeah, it's a good movie though. You should check it out. Actually, it might be on Netflix or something.
How old is it?
It probably came out like 2005-ish. So not super old, but not new or anything.
Is it like a movie or is it like a documentary?
No, it's a movie. It's good. It's kind of creepy. It's a little scary, but it's not like gross or anything. You'll be able to watch it. There's no blood or anything. But it's a good movie. It's a good movie, and this whole Mothman thing is really interesting. It's creepy. I might read the book.
In the movie, is it really like aggressive?
No, it's a lot. It's like the way that they describe it, you know.
So do they recount a lot of the things, like the chase and everything?
I think so. It's been a long time since I've seen the movie. I might watch it soon. Yeah, I might try and watch it soon. But yeah, I think that's good for the cryptids.
Yeah.
You know, cryptids are really interesting to me, dude. It's really cool. I want to...
I think it's hard for them to exist because... They're so big. They're so big, man. We should find them. We should see them. There should be evidence.
We didn't see giant squids until 1996 or something. 2006, right? Let's really quick go over everything we talked about and say whether we think it's real or not real quick. So, all
right.
Bigfoot?
No.
Lockness Monster?
I don't think so.
Any of the lake monsters?
No.
The Kraken?
No.
Ugh. Damn, Chupacabra.
Yeah,
obviously, like the newer version.
Mothman, I'm torn.
Mothman?
I'm torn about that one. That one intrigues me the most.
Yeah, it's super interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm torn about that one. I'm actually torn under that one.
Yeah. Wow, you're just a full-on non-believer. Huh?
I used to believe more in the Lochness than I do now.
Bigfoot, I don't believe in. Lochness, I believe at one point.
I just need more evidence. I would need more evidence. It is crazy that you see like crazy creature like on a scanner. Yes, that's some crazy evidence. Yeah, that's intriguing. So maybe I'm open to that. I'm open to that possibility. But I just feel like, first of all, I think there's one problem with it. Like, isn't the water super cold and it's a reptile? So it would have to get warm-blooded.
No, it's not a reptile. But water reptiles are different.
But other than that,
I don't know.
I just feel it would just be so hard for like an animal to live that big undetected. But who knows? That's also another plausible one. I would put that more plausible than the rest. I
don't know. I think the Kraken 100%.
I don't think there's any evidence of the Kraken, Evan.
How would we get evidence, dude? It's a creature that lives in areas of the ocean that we've never explored.
Why did it attack humans and hasn't attacked anybody since?
Maybe there was a lot more of them back then. And
what are you talking about? We have cruise ships in the water.
No, more of them. More of the Kraken around. And they had to, like, there was a lot more of them, and they had to, like, compete for food a lot more.
Why would they try to eat humans? Why wouldn't they just try to eat...
They probably thought it was like a whale or something. If you look at like a ship, if you're coming at a ship from the bottom, you just look it up, it probably looks a lot like a whale. And that's what they eat. That's what the giant squids eat. You know what I mean? I think the Kraken for sure. But then the rest of them... I
think it's a giant squid.
The rest of them, I don't know.
Who knows? I wish we know.
Yeah.
Like all our episodes, man.
Like all the episodes, I'll never know. But this one just fascinates me. I love creatures and animals and stuff. When I was a kid growing up, I was like obsessed with dinosaurs and stuff like that.
Me too. That's why the Lochness was so intriguing.
Yeah, exactly.
It could be a dinosaur that's still alive.
Exactly. I was obsessed with that kind of stuff. So cryptids have always kind of interested me. So I think at one point we'll do another episode where we talk about different ones, more rare ones, ones that are less talked about.
Yeah.
We'll get into some of those. But I think that's good for this episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So... Do we have anything for next episode?
I think we're going to do the...
I guess it'll just be a surprise.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll keep you guessing for the next episode. We don't know what it's going to be yet, but something interesting. I think we're going to do Jack the Ripper.
Oh, yeah. We're going to Jack the Ripper at some point. That's definitely coming up.
Might be next. If not, it'll be the one after. But anyway, Thank you guys for listening to Mystery Bros, and stay tuned for the next episode. Peace out.
Peace.
Mystery Brothers. Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Bros.
Mystery Brothers. Mystery Brothers.
Mystery Bros.